Today is Monday, March 4th. We're going to begin our new unit on chemical reactions today, and I included the Nebraska State Standards. It's 7.5, and it has all things to do with chemical reactions. Today's students are going to work with their table partners to examine 3 samples and record their findings in their note packets. Your homework today is to begin studying your Chapter 1 vocabulary and key concepts for at least 15 minutes every single day. Do not wait and cram for hours the day before or a couple days before the test because you will not remember it. Okay? Let's go ahead and continue. So if you're absent, I want you to go ahead and first of all, if you have your flashcards finished, I took those for a grade today. So if you want to give me a screenshot of your digital copy, or you can take a picture of your hard copy of your note cards if you want to, front and back, please, so I know that you're finished. Otherwise, I'll just get those when you come back. Student notes are right here. For the purpose of today, I want you to go ahead and put these in a Good Notes folder called Chemical Reactions. That way you can start taking notes, and later on if you decide you want hard copies, that's totally fine. Okay, let's begin. So first thing you need to know is when the students came in, there is a tray with a couple magnifying glasses and then 3 vials of different substances. Well, I don't know if they're different substances. They appear to be different substances, but we're going to have an activity today where the students are going to talk about different properties of those substances so we can determine whether or not they are different. Okay? We're going to begin with the warm-up and activity number 1. And this is the very first question in your notes. It's to ask yourself, what would your life be different, or how would your life be different if you did not have access to clean water? What would you have to do differently, or what couldn't you do if you didn't have clean water? So we took quite a few minutes to talk about that. I'm interested to see what you have. I'm going to let you write that out, and then I'll check it when you come back. Okay, so we talked about how the water we use in our homes must be treated before it's safe to drink, and we've got water treatment facilities in major cities all over the country, in multiple locations in one area, especially high population areas. Scientists work every single day to ensure that our drinking water is safe. And we have a new email from Dr. Samara Young, and she is the lead chemist for the water treatment facility in Westfield. And the reason for her email, she says, is there's a water crisis in this town called Westfield. So she says, last week I received a call from Alexa Anderson, a resident of Westfield. When she turned on her faucet for a glass of water, a strange reddish-brown substance came out. She called a few of our neighbors and found out that the reddish substance was coming out of their water pipes too. My lab uses chemistry to identify unknown substances, so I went to Westfield to take some samples. I took a sample of the water coming out of their pipes and another sample from the well where the neighborhood's water comes from. I analyzed the samples and made an interesting discovery. The water coming out of the pipes contains the mysterious reddish-brown substance, but I didn't find any of the reddish-brown substance in the water samples that I took from the well. However, I did find something else. It appears that some fertilizer from a nearby farm seeped into the water in the well. We need more analysis in order to identify the reddish-brown substance, but unfortunately my lab is busy with other projects now. Student chemists, I need your help to get to the bottom of this mystery. The residents of Westfield need answers. Let me explain what she's talking about. So Dr. Yun took a sample of water from Westfield's well. The well is in the middle of this graphic here. She didn't find any of the reddish-brown substances in the sample, but she did find some fertilizer. Now, when she took samples from the individual houses, from their faucets, she did find the reddish-brown substance. The fertilizer found in the well comes from a nearby farm. So this farmer is using fertilizer to grow crops. What happens is the fertilizer is dissolved in the water, and as the water goes through the soil, then eventually it finds its way into the well. And so we've got a little bit of fertilizer in this well, in the water, in the well. So we've got quite a mystery trying to figure out what's going on. What is this reddish brown substance coming out of their pipes? I have a sample in class that I showed the kids that I've got water from the pipe. And so this is actual water. And I don't know if you can see it, but look on the right-hand side. Do you see how it looks a little bit darker on the bottom? So this is actually a substance that is kind of a solid, but it can be, when you shake up the water, it kind of is not diffused, because it doesn't ever fully dissolve. It's not dissolving, but it does kind of spread out in the water, and then over time it just kind of sits, and it collects at the bottom. And then the well water, you can see, is clear water, but there is fertilizer in there. So the fertilizer has dissolved. You cannot see those pieces. So in order to analyze the issue of the water for the residents of Westfield, we need to ask ourselves two questions. And this is in your packet. The unit question is, how do new substances form? And Chapter 1 question, what is the reddish-brown substance in the water? Go back and make sure that you get those written down. I'm checking your note packet when you come back. Okay, so the next thing you have in your notes is I've copied all three claims and I've put them in your notes. And all I want you to do is read through the claims and just comment on them, okay? So the three claims are, claim number 1 says the reddish-brown substance is exactly the same as the substance that makes up the pipes. Claim number 2 says the reddish-brown substance is exactly the same substance as the fertilizer. And claim number 3 said the reddish-brown substance is not the same as either the fertilizer or the substance that make up the pipes. So after the kids took a little bit of time, and I want you to take some time and just make some comments there. What are your initial thoughts? This is your hypothesis, remember. Before you have any information, I just want you to write down, what are your thoughts? Do you think this could happen? Which one do you think it is, and why? All right, so then our activity number 3, unfortunately, you can't do until you come back to class. I will not let you make any observations until you show me that you've got notes filled out up until this point, okay? So the kids are just looking at these samples. The thing is, with these samples, these are actual chemicals. They're not household items that I put in there and put labels on to make them seem like there's something that they're not. They really, truly are chemicals. And so for that reason, the kids have to use gloves, and they are not able to take the lids off to make any kind of an observation as far as how do they smell. I need them not to have this airborne at all. Okay, so you'll be able to do that when you get back. The first sample is the pipe substance. Second is the fertilizer. And the third one is the reddish brown substance. So I just made a demonstration. I'll talk to you about that when I see you for your observation. This is where you will make your observations of the 3 different samples. What I would suggest is that you draw a line, a vertical line, to separate your paper into 3 boxes. So then that way you can write observations for each one of those substances. We talked about the vocabulary term property, and you can go ahead and fill this out. Property would be like the property of matter. So it's physical property of matter or chemical property of matter. And you'll remember this word from our element superheroes. Property is just something that can be observed about a substance, such as its color, smell, or boiling point. And I added some other examples on there because we're going to be talking about those. Grain size is the size, if you remember from our rock unit, is the size of the material that makes up that matter. So if it's large, if it's small, we call it fine or coarse. The texture is, does it seem really soft? Does it seem bumpy? More specifically, you're going to be looking, is it granular? Is it powder? Is it super fine? The luster is, does it shine? Does it look metallic? And then magnetism, is it magnetic? So chemists rely on some properties that can only be observed under special conditions, such as melting and boiling points. We can only observe those if we're adding heat. Different substances have different melting and boiling points. That's one way that scientists can identify an unknown substance. So it's a property that could be used to help identify the substance. The melting point is the temperature at which a solid will begin to melt and turn into a liquid. And the boiling point is the temperature at which a liquid will begin to boil and turn into vapor. We could not observe those from our observation today, so we didn't. So then we just had a discussion whether we thought these properties were the same or different. And then came back to the claims and said, is there anything based on your observations that would support or maybe even refute the claims? Of course, after the kids had to wash their hands, I made them take time to wash their hands and reset their trays, and that was the end of our lesson. So when you come back, show me that your notes are filled out up until, and just the only thing that you'll be missing is your observations, and then I'll give you the substances and you can make your observations. All right, have a great day.